Hi guys, and welcome. This is a follow-up video to my Inspiron 16 overview. If you haven't checked out this video so far, you can access it from the link in the top right. Today I'll be going into things in a bit more detail with the general features, including the touchpad, the keyboard, gaming, content creation, audio and the thermals. The specifications for this system I have include an Nvidia RTX 3060, a 1TB SSD, an Intel 11th Gen i7, 16GB of RAM, and a 16-inch 3K display at 60Hz. Beginning with the touchpad, I read a lot of customer feedback on this with complaints that it wasn't very responsive, and after long periods of use would experience false touches. So far, I'm happy to say I haven't seen any signs of this, so it's possible this was something that Dell has addressed, or it was just an isolated issue. The touchpad gestures are a really convenient feature. Tap with the single finger to single click, tap with 2 fingers to right click, tap twice and drag to multi-select, swipe 2 fingers to scroll, and 3 finger gestures to show the desktop, switch apps and go to the multitasking view. The left and right buttons hidden under the touchpad do feel a bit too clicky for my liking, but I found myself barely using these due to the smart gestures, which offer the full functionality without the use of these. The gestures should be enabled by default, but you can enable and disable these in the touchpad settings. In my previous video, I mentioned that the keys appeared to sit down a bit too far, with not a lot of play in them, but after using this for about a week, it's not really an issue at all. I now quite like the feel of the keys when typing, so this is something you'll likely just get used to. I also forgot to mention that the power button on the top right is also a fingerprint reader, which works reliably, so there's no complaints here. The 16-inch display supports up to 3K resolution at 60Hz, featuring Dolby Vision HDR. The display is only 300 nits, but seeing as it has a matte finish, I didn't really notice any difference compared to a laptop with say 400 nits, and the colours are vibrant enough for my liking. Above the display we have a 720p webcam with a physical privacy shutter. There's not much to say about this. The quality is what you'd expect from the front facing camera, and the video and audio are adequate for this purpose. Now on to gaming. Gaming with the RTX 3060 has been quite a good experience, and it's what I'd hoped for. But don't get your expectations too high. I would still recommend a desktop build if you're a serious gamer, but for mobile gaming on the go, you can't really fault it. I've tested 3 games so far to share the results with you. Assassin's Creed Valhalla performed really well on high graphics settings, and this was also with the resolution set to 3K. The frames per second stuck at around 50 to 60 with the occasional dip, but nothing that resulted in poor performance that dramatically impacted my gaming experience. If you were to lower the resolution, you'd get a lot more out of this, but we have to remember this display is only 60Hz. So running anything above 60 frames per second will likely cause screen tearing. Forza Horizon 4 performed flawlessly with the graphics set to Ultra, and this was also running at 3K. And the frames per second barely dropped below 60. The Witcher 3 though didn't perform as well. To keep this around the 60 frames per second mark, I had to lower the resolution to 1920 by 1200. And after that, it performed fine with the graphics set to high. I could have left the resolution at 3K and just lowered the graphics settings, but I found it was less of an impact just by reducing the resolution, and the game still looked great. Content creating using Adobe After Effects and Adobe Premiere was a breeze. Graphics rendered very quickly, and both applications performed well. Compiling video content was quick, so you should have absolutely no issues here if you're a content creator, so you could purchase this laptop in full confidence if that's what you're using it for. The audio is something I wasn't overly impressed with. The sound quality isn't bad at all, but the decision to put the speakers on the bottom of the laptop rather than on the sides has quite a big impact. and as a result, the audio can sound a bit muffled and quieter than I'd hoped for. Don't get me wrong, it's not terrible, and will be fine for your general day-to-day use, such as watching YouTube videos. But if you're gaming, then I would definitely recommend to use some Bluetooth headphones or a wired headset. The heat dissipation has been well thought out, with vents on the back, bottom, sides, and above the keyboard. There's plenty of places for this air to escape. During normal use, such as web browsing and watching YouTube videos, I barely heard the fans at all, and the laptop stayed quite cool. When playing graphic intensive games and rendering video using Adobe applications, the fan noise did become fairly loud, but this is expected when running resource heavy applications on a compact laptop with this hardware. But the 3 fans and 5 heat pipes done a good job of keeping everything cool. To help with this, you can also adjust the profile settings within the Dell Power Management application. This includes optimized, cool, quiet, and ultra performance modes. But you have to keep in mind these settings will impact performance and may increase the surface temperature of the laptop depending on the profile you've gone for. You can also reduce the fan noise during gaming by enabling the whisper mode in the Nvidia Experience application. This limits the frames per second in the games to the level that you specify in the Nvidia control panel. And this does help with some games. The battery life on this laptop is quite impressive, and with this configuration the battery is 86 watt hours. Video streaming over Wi-Fi will get you about 8 to 9 hours of battery life, depending on the brightness level you have set, and maybe a couple of hours for gaming. If you're watching a local video saved to your hard drive, then you can expect possibly up to about 12 hours. The laptop performs really well, and for the hardware packed inside, the price is really reasonable. Playing games wasn't a bad experience, and I didn't notice any major performance drops that would impact gameplay to a noticeable level, and the laptop handles content creating easily. Don't expect to play every game at 3K resolution and high graphics and still have a comfortable frames per second. You're better off lowering the resolution, which isn't a huge deal on a display of this size, and I would always still recommend a desktop PC if you're a serious gamer, but for a laptop at this price, you can't really complain. The main downsides are the audio and the trackpad buttons, but these are only a minor inconvenience, and you can work around these by using headphones for gaming and taking advantage of the Touchpad smart gestures. I wouldn't recommend to purchase this solely for a gaming machine, and I'd say it was more suited as a multimedia laptop with the bonus of a capable gaming machine on the side. In a couple of follow-up videos, I'll check out some additional games to measure their performance, and once things have settled down a bit, I will take a look at how the laptop performs when running Windows 11. I'd like to see if there's any impact on the performance. Do the games perform better? Is there any impact on frames per second? Is the battery life any better or any worse? And discover any potential issues that may arise. So please hit that subscribe button to be notified. And I would also appreciate if you could give the video a thumbs up if you found it helpful. And hopefully I'll see you for the next video.